Section 26 of Greatheart by Ethel M. Dell. This Librivox recording is in the public domain. Chapter 26. The Golden Maze. Softly, the strains of simpler view floated along the corridor. It came like fairy music, now near, now far, haunting as a dream, woven through and through with the gold of romance. Someone was coming along the passage with the easy swing of the born dancer, and pressed against her doorpost in the shadows, another born dancer awaited him with a wildly throbbing heart. The die was cast, and there was no going back. She heard the deep voice humming the magic melody as he came. In a moment the superb figure came into sight, moving with that royal ease of carriage, so characteristic and so wonderful. He drew near. He spied the small white figure lurking in the dimness. With a low laugh he opened his arms to her. And then there came to Dina, not for the first time, a strange, wholly indefinable misgiving. It was a warning so insistent that she suddenly and swiftly drew back, as if she would flee into the room behind her. But he was too quick for her. He caught her on the threshold. "Oh, no, no," he laughed. "That's not playing the game." He drew her to him, holding her two wrists. "Daphne, Daphne," he said, "still running away? Do you call that fair?" She did not resist him. For the moment she felt his touch, she knew herself a captive. The magic force of his personality had caught her, but she did not give herself wholly to him. She stood and palpitated in his hold, her head bent low. I'm not running away," she told him breathlessly. "I was just coming, but shan't we be seen? Your brother—" "What?" He was stooping over her. She felt his breath upon her neck. "Oh, Scott. Surely you're not afraid of Scott, are you? You needn't be. I've sent him off to write some letters. He'll be occupied for an hour at least. Come, come, you promised, and we're wasting time." There was a subtle caressing note in his voice. It thrilled her as she stood, and ever the soft music drifted on around them, pulsing with a sweetness almost too intense to be borne. He held her with the hold of a conqueror. She was quivering from head to foot, but all desire to free herself was gone. Still, she would not raise her face. Panting, she spoke. "Yes, we are wasting time. Let us go." He laughed above her head, a low laugh of absolute assurance. "Are you too shy to look at me, Daphne?" She laughed also, very tremulously. "I think I am, just at present. Let us dance first, anyway. Must we go down to the salon? Couldn't we dance in the corridor?" His arm was round her. He led her down the passage. "No, no. We will go down, and afterwards—" "Afterwards," she broke in breathlessly, "we will just peep at the moonlight on the mountains, and then I must come back."
"I will show you something better than the moonlight on the mountains,"
said Sir Eustace. She did not ask him what he meant, though her whole being was strung to a tense expectancy. He had brought her once more to the heights of Olympus, and each moment was full of a vivid life that had to be lived to the utmost. She lacked the strength to look forward. The present was too overwhelming. It was almost more than she could bear. They reached the head of the stairs. His arm tightened about her. She descended as though upon wings. Passing through the vestibule, her feet did not seem to touch the ground. And then, like a golden maze, the ballroom received them. Before she knew it, they were among the dancers, and the magic of her dream had merged into reality. She closed her eyes, for the glare of light and moving figures dazzled her, and gave herself up to the rapture of that one splendid dance. Her heart was beating wildly, as though it would choke her. A curious thirst, that yet was part of her delight, made her throat burn. A weakness that exulted in the man's supporting strength held her bound and entranced by such an ecstasy as she had never known before. She laughed, a gurgling laugh through panting lips. She wondered whether he realized that she was floating through the air, held up by his arm alone, above the glitter and the turmoil all around them. She wondered too how soon they would find their way to the heart of that golden maze, and what nameless treasure awaited them there. For that treasure was for them, and them alone, she never doubted. It was the gift of the gods, bestowed upon no others in all that merry crowd. The magic deepened and grew within her. She felt that the climax was drawing near. He would not dance to a finish, she knew, and already the music was quickening. She was too giddy, too spent had she but known it, to open her eyes. Only by instinct did she know that he was bearing her, sure and swift as a swallow, to the curtained recess whither he had led her twice before. This, she told herself, this was the heart of the maze. All things began and ended here. Her lips quivered and tingled. She would never escape him now. He had her firmly in the net. Nor did she seriously want to escape. Only she felt desperately afraid of him. His strength, his determination, above all his silence, sent tumultuous fear throbbing through her heart. And when at length the pause came, when she knew that they were alone in the gloom, with the music dying away behind them, a last wild dread that was almost anguish made her hide her face deep, deep in his arm, while her body hung powerless in his embrace. He laughed a little, a laugh that thrilled her with its exultation, its passion, and then, whether she would or not, he turned her face upwards to meet his own. His kisses descended upon her, hotly, suffocatingly. He held her pressed to him, in such a grip as seemed to drive all the breath out of her quivering frame. His lips were like a fierce flame on face and neck, a flame that grew in intensity, possessing her, consuming her. The mastery of his hold was utterly irresistible. She gasped and gasped for breath,
as one suddenly plunged in deep waters.
His violence appalled her, well nigh quenching her rapture. She was more terrified in those moments than she had ever been before. She almost felt as if the godlike being she had so humbly adored from afar had turned upon her with the demand for human sacrifice. Those devouring kisses sent unimagined apprehensions through her heart. They seemed to satisfy him so little, while they sapped from her every atom of vitality, leaving her helpless as an infant.
Her body drawn to his, as a needle to the magnet.
Not of her own volition, but simply by his strength. And ever the fire of his passion grew hotter, till she felt as one bound on the edge of a mighty furnace, which scorched her mercilessly from head to foot. She was near to fainting when she felt his arms relax, and suddenly, above her upturned face, she heard his voice, low and deep, like the growl of an angry beast. "What have you come here for? Go. You are not wanted." In a flash, she realized that they were no longer alone. She would have disengaged herself, but she was too weak to stand. She could only cling feebly to the supporting arm. In that moment, a great wave of humiliation burst over her, sweeping away her last foothold. For without turning, she knew who it was who stood behind her. She knew to whom those furious words had been addressed. Before her inner sight, with overwhelming vividness, there arose a vision. The vision of Greatheart in his shining armour, with a drawn sword in his hand, and in his eyes. But no, she could not look into his eyes. She hid her face instead, burning and quivering still from the touch of those passionate lips, hid it low against her lover's breast, too shamed even for speech. There came a movement, the halting movement of a lame man, and she heard Scott's voice. It pierced her intolerably, perfectly gentle though it was. "I am sorry to intrude," he said, "but Isabel begged me to come and look for Dina." His pause before the name was scarcely perceptible, but that also pierced her through and through. "I don't think she is quite equal to this." Sir Eustace uttered his faint, contemptuous laugh. "You here, Dina?" he said. "This gallant knight has come to your rescue. Look up and tell him if you want to be rescued." But she could not look up. She could only cling to him in voiceless abasement. There was a brief silence, and then she felt his hand upon her head. He spoke again, the sneering note gone from his voice, though it still held a faint inflection of sardonic humour. "You needn't be anxious, most worthy Scott. Leave her to me for 5 minutes, and I will undertake to return her to Isabel in good condition. You are not wanted for the moment, man. Can't you see it?" That moved Dina. She lifted her head from its shelter and found her voice. "Oh, don't send him away," she entreated. It was very kind of him to come and look for me." Eustace's hand caressed her dark hair for a moment. His eyes looked down into hers, and she saw that the glowing embers of his passion still smouldered there. She caught her breath with a sob. "Tell him not to go away," she begged. He smiled a little.
But electricity lingered in the pressure of his arm.
"I think it is time we broke up the meeting," he said. "You had better run back to Isabel. If you wish to keep this episode a secret, Scott is, I believe, gentleman enough to hold his peace." She was free, and very slowly she released herself. She turned round to Scott, but still she could not, dared not, meet his eyes. Her limbs were trembling painfully. She felt weak and dizzy. Suddenly she became aware of his hand held out to her, proffering silent assistance. Thankfully she accepted it, feeling it close firmly, reassuringly upon her own. "Shall we go upstairs?" he asked, in his quiet, matter-of-fact way. "Isabel is a little anxious about you." "Oh, yes," she whispered tremulously. "Let us go." She tottered a little with the words, and he transferred his hold to her elbow. He supported her steadily and sustainingly. Eustace stepped forward and lifted the heavy curtain for them with a mask-like ceremony. She glanced up at him as she went through. "Good night," he said. Her lips quivered in response. He suddenly bent to her. "Good night," he said again. There was imperious insistence in his voice, his eyes compelled. Mutely she responded to the mastery that would not be denied. She lifted her trembling lips to his, and deliberately, in Scott's presence, he kissed her. "Sleep well," he said lightly. She returned his kiss, because she could not do otherwise. She felt as if he had so merged her will into his that she was deprived of all power to resist. But the hand that held her arm urged her with quiet strength. It led her unfalteringly away. End of section 26. Read by Helena Dunstan.
September 2022.